Hello, welcome. My name is welcome. My name is SlugMTG, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the new downshifts and new cards entering the Pauper pool in the Commander Legends set. Right before I do though, I do just want to say that Knop is hosting another creators tournament, so I will be giving more information at the end of the video, but if you are a content creator for Pauper, then definitely stick around until the end where I will give more information. But for now, I just want to go ahead and get right into the honorable mentions, as I do think Commander Legends is going to be a very interesting set at the very least. It's got some very interesting downshifts and new cards, so let's just get right into it by talking about neither of those things with the Monarch reprints. So mainly Palace Sentinels, Thorn of the Black Rose, and then there is Entourage of Trest, although this is mainly for Palace Sentinels and Thorn of the Black Rose, as these two cards have gotten quite expensive online, and I think it's great that they are finally going to see a reprint. And hopefully that means that I can actually get these cards and start playing with them. So I am very much looking forward to that. The next honorable mention is Blight Massacre. This is a board wipe for non-elf creatures. The reason this is an honorable mention, though, is the double black mana can be quite costly and might require more of an investment than just a light splash relying on some of the elves that can create mana of any color. I think though that if they can fit it in, this would be a nice addition to elves, although it might not be the best. It's overshadowed by another card that I will be getting to later. But the next mention is Bag Marauder, which I think this is going to be great for aristocrat style decks, be able to control the board a little bit more while gaining an advantage. 3/1 body is kind of nice. It is a little expensive at 3 mana, but it can be unearthed, so it's got some things going for it. I don't think it has, aristocrats isn't exactly a tier 1 strategy right now, so it doesn't have like the perfect competitive home to go right into, but I think it's going to be a nice little addition for those decks. I'm looking forward to playing with it. Champion of the Flame is next, and I think this is great for equipment decks. This is the creature that basically they have been waiting for. My biggest problem is that equipments themselves aren't quite that good, but you do have the option of going for Boros auras as well if you want to try that option. I don't know if it would exactly be better than Mono White Heroic, but I mean, it definitely leaves some brewing potential, some experimentation, and that's always a plus in my book. Impulsive Pilferer is another one that aristocrat style decks can actually make work very well. The fact that you do get a treasure when it dies and that it can be brought back by itself is pretty good. I don't know if this quite go in there, but it is a way to get a treasure while supporting the archetype, so I thought it at least deserved a mention. Speaking more of sacrificing decks, there is Makeshift Munitions. This can go in either aristocrat style decks, or I was even thinking maybe Eggs could potentially want this, as having each artifact basically be able to ping your opponent. That could, the damage stacks up. So Makeshift Munitions is definitely a card that is just begging to be brewed around, and I know I will be brewing around it my fair share. Annoyed Altasaur is a card that I initially completely passed over, but as I revisited it, I actually really like it. It's definitely an expensive card mana cost wise, and normally they get completely destroyed by counter spells, but the reason why I actually like this is it does have Cascade, meaning that once you cast it, you are guaranteed to get some other value from it. So this can go in mono green land destruction, where maybe you can cascade into an acid moss or another creature, or of course the dream is cascading right into a colossal dreadmaw to win the game. I think that's what we're all really looking for. But yeah, it's a big creature that has immediate value on it, so I like it. I think we need more creatures like this. And then my last honorable mention is Foundry Inspector. This is a slightly overcosted Ethereum sculptor, but it is colorless, so you don't need to run blue. Although I don't know why you wouldn't run blue with these style of decks, but Yeah, the option is there. It reduces the cost of artifacts, so more things to brew around, and honestly, I think it's pretty cool. So those are my honorable mentions. It's quite the list, but I honestly thought that, there were quite a few honorable mentions. I didn't really want to make it into a top 10 because I don't think these will make that big of an impact on the meta, but I thought they at least deserved a mention, and they're going to be fun cards to brew around. I'm looking forward to them entering the format. But now let's head on to the top 5. So for number 5, I have Benevolent Blessing. For 1 and a white, it is an enchantment aura with flash. Enchant creature. As Benevolent Blessing enters the battlefield, choose a color. Enchanted creature has protection from the chosen color. This effect doesn't remove auras and equipment you control that are already attached to it. So the reason why I really like this, it is basically a better Choman's Blessing. And I think that for a couple of reasons. One, it doesn't require the double white, so this is a lot easier to splash, so it can make its way into Boggle's decks. But more importantly, with that last effect, this effect doesn't remove auras and equipment you control that are already attached to it. So you're not going to be able to attach more things to it, but the things that are already on won't fall off. And with Choman's, it had something like it, but it only protected the enchantment itself, whereas Benevolent Blessing protects everything that's already on it. So I think that's really good. This is going to basically just replace Choman's Blessing completely out of mono white heroic, and this could even see its way into Boggles, I think, making your creature that much harder to block. Although I don't really know if Boggles needs it. It might want it. We'll see. But overall, I think it's just a strict upgrade for, at least for Mono White Heroic. I think it's very weak right now and could use a little bit of help, and this is a step in the right direction. So at number 4, I have Flood of Recollection. For blue, it is a sorcery. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Exile Flood of Recollection. So the reason why I really like this card, it is extremely versatile. Whereas this card is basically any card that you've already cast previously in the game. So if you are just looking for a counterspell, you can get a counterspell back from your graveyard. If you're looking to draw extra cards, you can bring back a Frantic Inventory or Accumulated Knowledge. As long as you have a few others in the graveyard, you can just draw more cards. It can basically get back anything, and I think control decks are really going to like this. I know for me personally, I'm definitely going to be trying this out in Turbo Fog. Even as a one-of, I think it's actually going to be really good, and I'm definitely looking forward to playing with it. I don't think this card is going to be absolutely broken. I think it's going to be right in that sweet spot where it's a nice little tool. I don't know how many other blue decks are really going to be looking for an effect like this, but I know for me personally, I'm definitely excited to try it out, and I think it'll see some play. So I put it at number 4, looking forward to it and seeing how it performs. So at number 3, we have Gavin Verhey's pick for his most anticipated downshift for Pauper, and this is Fiery Cannonade. So for 2 and a red, we get an instant. Fiery Cannonade deals 2 damage to each non-pirate creature. So with the hype surrounding this card, I was considering putting it at number 2, but I think it more goes into number 3, as it's not saying that this card won't make an impact on Pauper. I think this will have just a huge impact on Pauper in general, but the main reason why it's at number 3 is it speaks more to how number 2 and number 1 are going to impact the metagame. Fiery Cannonade is basically the control deck's best tool against aggro decks. Aggro is already in a pretty weak spot, and having a board wipe that really is almost better than Electrickery. Electrickery costs 1 less, but Fiery Cannonade is just going to be able to get rid of so many things. It gets rid of Thraben Inspectors, Nell Sentinels, Mole Drifters, Delver of Secrets, and the list just goes on, as really there's so many creatures that come in at the 2 toughness mark, and Fiery Cannonade is going to be able to just blow past all of them. I think aggro decks are really just going to get so much weaker with this card in the format, and I will talk about adjustments to the metagame after I'm done with my list, but I think Fiery Cannonade is definitely going to see play. The part I'm not looking forward to is I think this slots right into Tron, as it being an instant. It can be fetched out with Mystical Teachings, which means that Tron just has yet another tool against aggro, which is the deck that's supposed to keep Tron in check. And with this card entering, aggro gets so much weaker, Tron gets so much stronger, and honestly, I'm not really looking forward to it, but I'll touch more on that in just a little bit. So at number 2, we actually have 2 cards, and these are the new Monarch cards entering. So we have Crimson Fleet Commodore and Azure Fleet Admiral. Azure? Whatever. All right, so I don't think Crimson Fleet Commodore is going to be absolutely fantastic. It is a okay, so let me read the cards. Crimson Fleet Commodore is 3 in a red for an Ogre Pirate, 5/2 trample. When it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. And then Fleet Admiral is 3 in a blue, human pirate. When it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch, and it can't be blocked by creatures the Monarch controls, and it is a 3/3. So I think the red one, the Crimson Fleet, is fine. I actually really like it. I think red, the previous Monarch cards, some of them weren't really that good, but I think this one is definitely playable. It's a great top end for aggro decks. That way they can continue to draw cards later on in the game. And it is a pirate, so it does actually get around the fiery Cannonade. So that's actually kind of funny. So I actually really like Crimson Fleet. I'm looking forward to this entering the format, as I think, it's going to be a good top end for aggro decks. You're going to be able to play the Monarch, and since you are aggro and this is trample, you do have a good chance of taking back the Monarchy if the opponent manages to get it. If it weren't for the other Monarch creature, Fleet Admiral, I think this one is borderline busted, mainly because blue doesn't need the help with the Monarchy. Like, the Monarchy is there to help you draw cards, and blue is the best color at drawing cards. So with Fleet Admiral, you play it, you become the Monarch, and you're playing blue. So you already have the best color at drawing cards, and now you have one of the best mechanics at drawing cards at your disposal. And because you're playing blue, and all these Monarch cards are now entering the format, you're going to be able to keep the Monarchy so much better because the enemy's going to try to play their Monarch spell, and you're the only color with counter spells, except white, but no one plays those. So you can just counter the opponent's Monarch spells, and you keep the Monarchy. And if they do manage to get it, the Fleet Admiral is going to be able to swing in and get it right back, because if your opponent takes the Monarchy, then it can't be blocked for some reason. Like for the red Monarch creature, it's a 5/2 with trample. But for the blue one, it's a 3/3 with unblockable. One is clearly better at taking the Monarchy. And I'm a little annoyed that blue got the second best Monarchy card for Pauper in the set, because I really don't think blue needs the Monarchy. But before I get into that rant, I'm gonna hold that rant there and use it to transition into my number 1, Fall from Favor, which is 2 in a blue for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When Fall from Favor enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature and you become the Monarch. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step unless that player is the Monarch. So with the Fleet Admiral, I said that blue got the second best Monarch card in the set. And with Fall from Favor, blue also gets the number 1 Monarch card in the entire set, because it is a Monarch card that doubles as removal. So blue now has that much of a better chance to keep the Monarchy, because you tap down your opponent's best creature, their flyer, their unblockable, whatever, and now it's not going to be swinging in to take the Monarchy, and if they try to play anything else to get the Monarchy, then you just counter it. So Fall from Favor is definitely the strongest card for Pauper. I think hands down, this is by far the strongest card for Pauper in this set. And if I'm being really honest, I am not looking forward to this entering the format, as I guess I'll transition this to just talking about how I think the meta is going to develop. But with these new Monarchy cards entering, especially with blue getting the 2 best ones, I think this makes blue significantly stronger. And with Fiery Cannonade entering, I think it makes aggro significantly weaker. So creature decks, which were already struggling, get weaker, while blue control decks, which were already near the top of the meta, get stronger. And with Fall from Favor, blue is basically going to be able to not only have the Monarchy before anybody else, because Fall from Favor is the cheapest Monarch card available in Pauper, so they're going to get it early, and they're going to be able to remove something while they're at it. And thanks to Counterspell Backup, blue is actually in a really good spot to keep the Monarchy over other colors. But as strong as blue gets, I think there is one deck that really benefits the most from this, and unfortunately, I think it's going to be Tron. So Tron, I think, is the overall big winner when it comes to the set. I think Tron might try to play Fall from Favor, as it does double as removal for opposing creatures. Although, like I said before, with the interaction with Fiery Cannonade being instant speed, Tron just got another tool, another great tool to have against aggro decks that are supposed to keep it in check. And now, since Tron is going to have access with Fall from Favor to the Monarchy, I mean, Tron could play the Monarchy before at pretty much any time, but I don't think that Thorn of the Black Rose or Palace Sentinels were really worth it to include. However, now with Fall from Favor doubling as removal, and with Fleet Admiral basically being unblockable if you aren't the Monarch, then I think Tron is very much more incentivized to run these things, at least as a one-of, to get the Monarchy. And with a combination of Stonehorn Dignitaries and Moment's Peace and counterspells, Tron is in the absolute best position out of anything in the entire meta to hold on to the Monarchy for the longest amount of time. And I am very, very concerned that Pauper is now just going to be the format where you play Monarch cards and it becomes a metagame that whoever holds on to the Monarchy the longest wins. And that is my biggest concern, because that just doesn't seem that fun. Whereas the only decks that really do well are going to be heavy control decks with a big emphasis on incremental value, and aggro is pretty much nowhere to be seen. That's not to say that aggro is going to be completely dead. I do think that Mono Green Stompy can recover from this. So I think Mono Green Stompy, it gets weaker, but it might still be able to power through. We'll have to wait and see. But I think another deck that can make it through is going to be Elves, just because they get going so quickly, and they have a multitude of ways that they can win. So combat damage isn't the only way. I mean, they have like Viridian Longbow, they have the Orzhov card that deals damage equal to the number of creatures that they have. So they have a variety of other ways, and they can actually protect themselves from Fiery Cannonade. I do want to talk about Shields of Velus Vel. It's an older card from, I believe, Lorwyn, and it is a tribal instant shapeshifter for a single white mana. This has Changeling, so it is every creature type at all times, and creatures target player controls get +0/+1 and gain all creature types until end of turn. So this is really good because it dodges out Fiery Cannonade, because now all your creatures are pirates, so they aren't going to be taking 2 damage. And the reason why I think this is so good is because they also get +0/+1, which means that this card basically cancels out each and every other field wipe that people play in Pauper. So against Electrickery, the toughness boost means that none of your creatures are going to die. And even against Suffocating Fumes, then the boost in toughness will also ensure that your elves don't die. And I think the card that this can be compared to is Prismatic Strands, since they are both white, and Prismatic Strands is similar in its effect. It can also prevent Fiery Cannonade and Electrickery from destroying your board. But the big thing with Prismatic Strands is it can also be used as a fog when your opponent swings in. So Shields isn't quite as versatile, I don't think, but it does cover every single board wipe that people play in Pauper. So it might see its way into Elves after this. But that's pretty much just speculation. I've seen a other people suggest other things, such as Rapid Vigor. I think Shields of Velus Vel is a bit better because it does protect against suffocating fumes as well, but it is white. Elves would have to either Elves would have to make sure that they can hit it, but Fiery Cannonade is not coming down before turn 3, so I think Elves can get away with running it. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't played Elves, but just from seeing some of the other colors that they splash for, I think Elves can get away with it. But other than that, I just don't see creature strategies being that viable in Pauper anymore. I think Tron is the big winner, and I think any black deck is the big loser. Just because black didn't really get any new toys. I know I mentioned Bag Marauder before, but really that's kind of black's only new toy. Blight Massacre is really only there for Elves if they can afford to splash it. Elves is just such a relevant creature type that makes its way into quite a lot of decks. So if you run Blight Massacre, don't expect to actually clear the board of everything. But I believe that we're about to enter a very slow metagame where matches will drag on for quite a long time as control decks fight to keep the monarchy, to keep ahead of their opponent on resources, and I think Tron just has all the pieces needed to keep its top spot in the meta, and not only keep it, but become stronger than it already is. I'm not going to advocate for bans just yet, as we'll just have to wait and see. This is all speculation. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I don't really see anything else happening. I'm not really looking forward to Commander Legends. I am looking forward to some of the cards, but I think this will definitely decrease deck diversity quite a lot as the metagame just develops more towards Tron, Control, and Combo. I think those will be the 3 main archetypes that we see. But I guess time will tell, and worst case scenario, Pauper gets really unfun for maybe like a month or so, and then hopefully, they might ban something. But who knows? It might not even be a problem at all. It probably will be a problem though. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the new cards and downshifts. I am looking forward to some, definitely not looking forward to others. But now I do want to take a moment and talk about Mason Knop's creator tournament. It is free to enter for any and all content creators. It is mainly a tournament meant to help expand and network a little bit, so you can meet other content creators that you might not have known before, make some new friends. I know with the last creators tournament, I definitely met some new people, made some new friends, so I will definitely be participating again. It was a lot of fun, and this time there is going to be prize support, so it's free to enter and there's prize support. So, I mean, if you create Pauper content, then there's, just go for it. It is going to take place on December 7th. That's when it's going to start. And it's just a great place to meet new people, kind of like network a little bit, show off some decks, and potentially expose yourself to new audiences. I know I'm going to be participating. I know Mason also wants to try to make this a quarterly thing, and I'll definitely be looking forward to it. But getting back to the new cards, did I miss something? Let me know. Am I completely wrong with some of my evaluations? And Annoyed Altasaur is now going to be the new boogeyman of the format. Definitely let me know in the comments down below. I look forward to debating with people. I always have a good time talking about Pauper, so I might not be completely looking forward to the release of the new set, but I think there are some good things, and I should say that WotC did say that they were going to be keeping very close eyes on Pauper to see how it's going to develop, as they know what they did. So WotC will be keeping an eye on things. We'll have to trust them, maybe. But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. But now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna harass some WotC employees on Twitter. Bye!